Um, Welcome to the interview. Thanks for meeting and chatting with us. We'd love to get to know you. Actually, are one of the artists that I know the least about. Um, a lot of the other artists I've been able to kind of hear snippets about them, and I don't know a lot about you. So I'd like to kind of start at ground zero if that's okay. So you are living in Moldova, you said. So where is that
Yes,
again?
it's between Ukraine and Romania. It's a very small country, but
Okay.
it's large at the same time. But
Okay.
instead of a map, I mean, it's very small, very small.
Okay, great. So you are, I
Uh,
mean, there aren't,
Sorry. So
okay.
your finger is bigger than the country if you put it on a map. I want to say that.
Okay, great. No, that's great. Okay. So thank you for that because I was not very sure actually where Moldova is. So I was thinking, I was like, so I had to look that up, especially for this
Yeah.
interview to make sure I got a good time for you. Um, so, I mean, you're speaking English though. Have you spoke English your whole life?
No, my language is that will sound strange. Romanian and the Republic of Moldova talk the same language,
Okay.
only the accent is a little bit smoother, or I don't know. It's like Great Britain and United States. They kind of speak the same language, but they have differences.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same thing here. So I don't talk English. We learn it at school because of the PCs, personal computers. They're all in
Oh.
English. You have to learn it. Then
Oh.
to be like options to change the language to put it in Russian and I don't know.
Okay.
At the same time, I know the Russian language as well,
Okay.
and this is not my language too.
So, how many languages do you know then?
uh, Besides mine, it's
Oh,
only
okay.
two, English and Russian.
Okay. How often do you use Russian?
Um, we used it. I used it in vacation when I was. There
Okay.
were Russians there, and we talk a little bit.
Okay. Awesome. So when you mean speaking English, learning in school, do you use English a lot on a daily basis, or is it just when you're, using a computer or interacting with, like Colorworld?
Um, I learned it at school and at university at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And our teacher of English in university was very, how to say, he was teaching us very hard, a lot of work to do to know English very well.
Okay.
And on daily basis, we don't use it. I started to use it on a daily basis when I started to work as a colorist because I worked actually with a lot of Americans,
Okay. Awesome.
mostly Americans.
Yeah. So how did you get in touch with all of all these Americans that you're working with?
My first client in the comic book was a Russian guy. He kind of saw something, I don't know what, and he gave me some work to do. And after finishing the project, I don't even remember how I get it to. I found another client, and he was American. We started talking, and he said that he has some kind of project. She's interested in doing it, and I dropped this project. I dropped it. I
Yeah.
don't know why. But after this, I kind of started to find another guys on the DeviantArt or somewhere else, and we started to chat to each other. And I do my stuff, and he's doing his stuff, and that's how it happens. It's really starts from small. It's
Okay. Well,
like
great.
like ants.
Yeah.
If okay.
Okay. So then how did you end up finding Brad and Rachel then?
um, I found them through another guy. His name is Rob.
Okay.
Rob, and I don't remember his last name.
Okay.
Rob Thibodeau, I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. Yep. I know who you're talking about. So
Mm-hmm.
were you friends with Rob?
Yeah, Rob kind of gave me through another guy one piece to be colored, and I did it, and he liked it, and he started to give me a lot of images. And after this, he said one day, there is another guy, Brad, who have a lot of stuff that need to be colored if you're interested.
Okay.
So that's how it happened.
Awesome. Great. So do you like working with Brad? Do you like what's happening with Colorworld? Him sending over stuff for you to color?
I like to work with Brad. I mean, at the beginning, he gave me a lot of drawings of Bea, I think.
Yeah. That's his
daughter, right? His daughter.
Correct.
And after this, he kind of started to give me more fine art and more fine art, more fine line art. Yeah. The last two pieces he gave me was very awesome stuff. When you color it, it's like mind blowing.
Okay, great. What were those pieces?
I think Alucard.
Okay.
It's a character from anime, something like with the vampires and stuff. There was two pieces. They kind of the same.
Yeah.
But from different angles.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So, going back to Bea for a second, do you feel like some of the pieces that you've gotten recently, have you been able to see her kind of grow as an artist as you've seen her work? Because you've been coloring a lot of her stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Through years, she will grow if she will continue to do this. If you're not very serious, you'll probably stand at the same level. But yeah, she's growing, definitely growing.
Awesome.
I remember myself at her age.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Were you always, did you like to be an artist when you were younger as well?
Yes, but I didn't thought that there are inkers or colorists. I thought that the artist should make everything.
Okay.
From the start to the finish, all the stuff. And after years, someone told me that there are artists, penciliers, inkers, colorists, and the guys who put the balloon with texts and
yeah,
a lot of stuff.
Well, that's awesome. So at what point did you decide I want to be a colorist?
After finishing the project for the Russian guy, I was there an artist and an inker at the same time. It was black and white comic book. And I kind of feel empty for me. Because colors can tell me more than just black and white. When you fill it with color, it gives you feelings, it gives you space, it gives you everything. Yeah. Like when the color is kind of cold, I see this is a cold scene, so I shouldn't be happy there, so something like this. When you see a black and white comic book, sometimes you don't get it, so it's sad or it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah. So did you go to school for art?
I'm sorry?
Did you go to school, or I guess to like a university for art?
No. I finished the university, but my diploma is in food industry. Oh. So it has nothing to do with the coloring at all.
Interesting. So when in the food industry, are you working in that industry right now?
No. I've been working, but I get involved more and more in coloring, so that's kind of my job number one right now.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. So are you happy about that, or are you wish it could be different?
I'm happy. I wished I could do a little bit more work per month, and that would be great.
Okay. Awesome. That's really cool. So you have always liked art. You've enjoyed it since you were younger, but that wasn't necessarily the career choice you initially picked.
Yes.
Okay, cool. That's really interesting. So do you remember as a child, like when you started creating things?
I've been creating since a very, very small kid.
Okay.
But at the age of about 13, 14, when I was at my grandmother's house, there was a guy which was younger than me with like 5 years, and he when he came to me, he gave me comic books. It's like the first time when I hold it in my hand. And for the summer, I start reading them, and I had like at the beginning about 3 or 4 comic books. And every day I was starting to read it, and every time I'm watching all these drawings, and just couldn't understand how they did it. Why this color is going gradient? Why it's not going like this? And then the same questions every day. So in another day, I just started doing comics by myself. Believe me, this takes a lot of time if you are not doing this digitally.
Yeah.
If you do it traditionally, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
You will spend days and days just to finish one page.
Yeah, I believe that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you still color traditionally and not digitally?
No, I only digitally do it because traditionally it's hard. It's you know why it's hard? Because you can undo things.
Yeah.
But in Photoshop, for example, you can undo it like 5 steps back.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. I actually am not much of a artist. I like to appreciate art, but I mean, I could never color anything free. I mean, I don't know. I just don't have the eye for that. So that's amazing. It's really awesome that you can do that. I have an appreciation for people who do have that a talent and ability. So, what about some of the work that you've done for Colorworld? What are some of your colorings that you've done that you are really proud of? I know you just mentioned that last piece. Is there any other pieces?
Okay, let me think about it.
Okay.
There was many of them. Sometimes I'm messing them with the Robs because Rob say that he has some drawing for me, and I thought that was his drawing, and then he said no, he's for the Colorworld.
Well, if that's one that you're really proud of, though, it's okay if you use that one as an example.
I like the Five Nights at Freddy's, I think.
Oh, okay.
There was 2 variants for this drawing, and one he sent me at first one, and a couple months later another one.
Yeah.
With some adjustments, I think. The thing was there that the drawing was kind of don't want to say the word dirty, but it was a lot of pencil dots. Mm-hmm. Which kind of mess and loses the white parts in the drawing. So when you color it, it gets a lot of dark. So I had to clean it a lot. And I've cleaned it and I colored it. And yeah, I think that one is okay. Because I have to fix a lot of stuff that has not doing nothing with colors.
Yeah, yeah. I think I've seen that piece. I think I've seen a couple at least of the Five Nights at Freddy. That's a video game, right?
I believe me, I find it only this year about this. Okay. I didn't know what is this. I thought at the beginning that was kind of a joke, and then I type in Google FNAF, and then I found this kind of creepy game there. Yeah. With the bears and toys.
So, do you get work a lot that you're kind of like, I have no idea what this is, or do you typically know your characters?
No, especially this year, a lot of guys send me a lot of anime stuff that I really don't watch, and I have to find a lot of reference because I really prepare myself. Yeah. But yeah, a lot of new stuff I didn't know.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that's impressive that you do so much research so that you know what you're coloring.
You have to, and I try to find a lot of reference to get an idea. Why is he red and why is he blue? Is he blue every time or he's kind of green?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So if you, while we're talking, if any art pieces pop into your mind, you're like, oh yeah, that was a cool one, just stop me and chime in, let us know.
Mm.
So whenever you changed from being, going into the food industry and now doing art, did you have support from like your family or friends or people who are with you, or were people kind of like, why are you choosing that?
uh, at the beginning, I think nobody actually thought that this will work. That's for sure. Because um, in order to understand, in my country there are no comics industry at all.
Oh.
So there are no shops, no conventions, no university to learn how to do comic books or even the coloring. So that's why they thought at the beginning that this is not serious, probably something with age coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I start kind of, I don't know, making money, if you can say that, people will start to believe that actually this thing works. And I did an interview here in Moldova for um, one girl was she works at television right now in our country, and she asked me to do it, an interview about the comics. And I did it, and after this, a lot of people starts talking about they saw me on TV and they liked it. They never knew that I do this because I wasn't very open about this. I like to keep it like in secret. I do it, and this is for myself.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was this reporter like, did the whole country see this news, or was it something like, or was it just? I know in the U.S. there's like
Yes.
local news that's just for your town, and then there's
Mm-hmm.
national news for the whole country, and then sometimes they'll put it online and it won't actually make it onto the news channel. Was this
Mm-hmm.
something that was like on your whole country level?
On the whole country level, yes, because the channel where the channel was for the whole country actually. Yeah.
That's really awesome. So,
Yeah, but didn't help a lot, believe me.
why didn't it help?
Yeah, it didn't help because, like I said, we don't have comics here, so there is no jobs like doing comics. So
Hmm.
why should they?
Okay, all right.
They saw me. Someone saw. Someone thought, "Oh, really? There are guys who do comics in Moldova. Interesting. Let's live together."
Okay, all right. So this is not your first interview as an artist.
um, no, this is my third probably.
Okay, awesome. What was your, other than the news network? What else have you been interviewed for?
Another one was for Romania, but I didn't saw the result and I didn't saw the video, so I don't know if was real or not.
Okay, all right, awesome. So you could be famous in Romania. You don't even know it.
Um, well, I did a comic book, 4 issues, and then they invite me to Romania to do at the convention to be there like a colorist. So
Okay.
I was in Romania, but I don't know if I'm famous there. Really, I don't know.
Well, you're
I'm.
becoming famous in the U.S.
I hope so. I don't know.
Yeah,
Nobody's telling me this. Everybody's just telling, okay, I need this in a couple of days if you can,
well,
as up as you can.
that's awesome. Well, you're doing a great job. You're doing a very good job for Colorworld.
Thank you.
So I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for where I wanted to go with there next. But so do you have, you said like, nobody's doing comic books in Moldova. So do you feel like, um, are people who are reaching, does anyone reach out to you for like commission work? Like say like, hey, could you do this for me? I know that you said Rob and Colorworld, so you still have other people in the US reaching out to you?
Yes, from Canada as well, from US. Yes, a lot of people, different people. They probably didn't are not knowing each other for sure.
Okay. What about in other English speaking countries like England or Australia? Does anyone there ever reach out to you?
I think I have been working with someone from England and probably from India with someone.
Oh, okay, that's awesome.
Yeah, from Australia, no, I don't think.
Okay.
And I have been working with a guy from Italy, Massimo Lavanini. He was named, and he was not comic book involved, but he liked a Italian character to put it on CD because he was making music and he needed the covers.
Okay, cool.
So he asked me, and after this work, he kind of for payment he sent me some sort of comic books, but very very old, like from 67 or something like this. And I tried to wrote him a message after a year after this, and I found that he's dead.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's his wife answered, and he said he's dead.
Oh wow. Well, I guess you'd never know.
Yeah, it's strange. What can I say?
Yeah. So
you have been working, now he's not here anymore.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear he's not around anymore. So when you're working with Brad, have you haven't had any face-to-face interactions with him, right?
No, I saw couple weeks or months ago. We just became friends on Facebook. But before this, we have been working through Gmail, and that's all.
Okay. Is that weird? Is it weird to work with him when you haven't had a lot of contact with him?
Not really, because when you wrote a message that you want something to be colored, you are very I don't know how to say it, precise about what you want.
Yeah.
So you get the idea what he's looking for, so you can work with it. It's no need to see his face. Of course, I like now that I can see his face in Facebook.
Yeah.
It works.
Yes.
Oh, now this is the guy who's asking everything.
Right.
So yeah, not big problem with this. Yes.
Okay, awesome. So when he gives you critiques, do you well, maybe he doesn't. I'm not sure. With being a colorist, does he ever give you feedback on your work?
He makes critiques. I mean, almost everybody does, but you have to react to this very cold. I mean, not to scream about it that this is my drawing, this is perfect, and I will change it. Nothing. He makes sometimes critics. Yeah, he says sometimes that my work is awesome. Sometimes he's asking something to be changed there, but since he's a client and I'm another staff of client, so I have to satisfy his needs, right?
Yeah.
So there's no problem with this. And when he asked me to do this, I kind of start to see the things in a different angle, like he wants it to be in the end.
Okay. Awesome. So do you like that relationship with Brad? Do you like working with him?
Awesome, yeah. I asked him to give me a little bit more work, but he can't do it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm ready to work with him pretty long time.
Awesome.
Mm.
And then also, as you're working with him and as you're getting also personal commissions, is there any do you see an end game for this from what you're doing? Like, are you happy where you're at with what you're creating right now, or would you rather your art go some other direction?
Of course, I think every artist is thinking about it, if his art is going somewhere, or it just stand at the same level every time. Yeah, I think I would like my art to go somewhere else, but to keep these directions at the same time. Because, well, you can develop your skills. It's no limit point here.
Yeah.
You can grow and grow. My style, if I don't know if you see some older stuff, they definitely changing. My sister how my sisters usually says, you always keep some kind of blue stuff in your art. Every time something blue, something around there. Well, that's not my people. When they send art to me, there is usually blue involved, so I don't know how to do it other way.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
So what are you most excited for that you're working on right now?
You mean on what project?
Yeah.
There's a guy, I have been working with him some years ago. We made a very small comic, about 7 pages. And now he asked me to do another one, but 5 pages, and based on royalties. I don't like royalties. Usually doesn't work. It's like doing for free and forget about his comics.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, sorry, it's usually like this.
Yeah.
I didn't get royalties from any comic at all.
Okay.
So it's like a trap.
Yeah.
So he gave me this type of comic. It's a detective one, and the line art itself is a very not very specific, but at the same time very noir looking. And I'm very excited because I didn't do this type of comics in another days. And when I was doing the flats today, for example, I was thinking how I will do it. It's so much space to do it very vibrant. It's so much space to do it very depressive. It's so much space to do it very simple and very noir stuff. So yeah, I'm thinking all the time about this, how I should do it, how to do it.
Yeah.
How to jump a little bit higher than your head is, how to improve.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I don't know how you get better if you don't, constantly push yourself. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Are you doing any marketing for yourself, like other than your actual work? Obviously that is marketing yourself. But are you doing anything online to let people know, like you can color things for them?
No, I think no, I didn't. I don't know if marketing being on DeviantArt or another sites that put your portfolio, right?
Yeah.
But besides this, no, I don't do a lot of marketing.
Okay.
Usually people somehow connects and said, I'm from this one, I know this guy, he gave your Gmail.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is just in your personal opinion, if you could color anything, like you could pick the piece you're going to color, what would it be?
If I want to pick something, I definitely would like to do something more serious stuff. Like I never did the coloring for the Marvel or DC, for example. I mean, this level of the line art. I mean, it doesn't mean Marvel or even DC, but this type of level of line art. I mean, so detailed. And I did it something, but really, really some years ago, I think, and that's all. So I really wanted to do something more serious a little bit. I think my colors should work there properly, kind of.
Okay, awesome. And then the other thing, just in your, do you ever do like line art, like your own line art, and draw your own drawings?
I did. I tried. I even started my comic book, and I did it 2 pages, and then I stopped. Like I said, that is a lot of work if you want to do all by yourself. This is a lot of energy taking.
Yeah. Hey, but you just said there's not a current market of comic books in Moldova. You could be the first.
Um, that's a question of culture. I mean,
Okay.
we don't have it, and a lot of people, I think, are not interested at all in this.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. We're harsh people here, pretty harsh, I have to say. Americans are more soft, for example, softer. Our country is like uh, that's a lot of things going here. For example, you have right now Trump, president, right?
Yeah.
And everybody screaming about it because he's the baddest. He's the baddest president. He's strange. In our country, we have a lot of corruption, a lot of small salaries. The job quality of everything is very, I don't know. You can say poor, but maybe higher than poor, if that means something. And you can develop here something big, because if you'll try it, there is a lot of people who put rocks in your wheels. if that's okay.
Okay.
So
Who's the lot of people? Do you feel like you like the actual people you live with, or like people in the government, like, or just like we're not interested in that?
people from government organizations. It's hard to keep it on the water. It's very hard. Our comic book that we made in Romania, for example, they invested a lot of money for every issue of the comic book, and they created this convention, and they tried to sell it, and it was hard. People with whom I've been working, they said it's very hard to keep it, because a lot of obstacles to keep it. And comic book, as I feel, comic books shouldn't be as I forget the word. Comic books should be not so expensive to keep it on the level, on the water. I mean, if it's not profitable, they probably will close it.
Yeah, right.
And comic books should somehow the comic books should live. And in Moldova, I think this is mostly impossible, for sure.
Have you ever thought about moving your business to the U.S.?
I thought about it, and some people even asked me to came in U.S. to work there. It's kind of scary at the same time, but I have a lot of friends from Moldova that already work there in U.S.
Okay.
A lot of friends from university through work and travel. That's a program, if you know.
Right.
So they got to US and they remain there to work because it's better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that's, you know, I mean, I would be terrified to go and live in a different country. It sounds like you do a lot of traveling in other countries, though. So, I mean, have you been to several different countries around you?
Well, I've been in different countries, but they're all in Europe. So on the bus, it's like usually, for example, for Romania, are like 8 hours from here, from my country. Okay. Greece, for example, are from 20 hours from here, so it's not so far.
Yeah.
But about the US, it's scary not from point, oh my God, there are a lot of people there. It's scary from point of if I got enough money to stand there, I need more money to stand there, or I don't know, a lot of stuff going just from money.
Yeah.
That's the scary point. Not to talk about comics and to meet people. I'm not afraid for this. But mostly from the budget point. I just don't know if I'm ready or not for this.
Yeah, I mean, I know that at the end of the day, your money is important. Without making that money, I mean, you can't pay the bills. So That's an
Right.
important part of all this. Does the U.S. dollar go farther in Moldova?
Once again, please.
Yeah, does the U.S. dollar go farther than the currency in Moldova?
20 times. Like, for example, $1 in US dollar, it's like 20 units here.
Oh, wow.
My units. I mean, lace. They call it like this. So, like, when it's 100 US dollars, they're like 2,000 lace there. I can't say that 2,000 is a lot, but for example, when it's like 10,000, then believe me, that's very okay to live like this.
Right.
I can't say that you'll buy you a car right now, but you'll live okay. It will be okay.
Yeah. That is amazing. That's always, it's so interesting to just learn about other cultures and how you guys interact. And I can't believe, I mean, listening to your story, that you're where you're at right now. I can't believe that you're coloring for comic books in the U.S. Like, that's just so blowing my mind.
Yes. And they don't even know when it's my birthday. So it's strange to work like this.
Well, when is your birthday? Let's write it down.
It's a joke. It's December 19th, but it's a joke. I only joke.
Perfect.
Like,
no, we're remembering
it. Means we don't know anything about each other, but we work.
Okay. Well, December 19th. I'm serious. You get a message from me. You'll get a happy birthday.
That will be cool.
Okay. Awesome. So just, last, what has been, I know we talked a little bit about Brad. I don't know. Have you met his wife, Rachel?
No. I think she couple times responds to email. Okay. Because sometimes I just wrote, "Hey, Brad," and then she asked, "Yes, this is Rachel. Your drawing is awesome. We'll send another one. I don't know when."
Perfect.
And I saw her on some of his photos, I think. Yes. Yeah. She's blonde, right? Or
well, I think that she had blonde highlights at one point. Right now, she has some pretty cool extensions in her hair. So it's pretty awesome going on there. But when you're interacting with Brad or Bea or Rachel, do you feel like you're a part of the Colorworld team, or is it hard to feel a part of that when you're so far away?
At the beginning, I didn't even know that there is a team. I thought that they just need some freelancer colorist, and that's why they picked me, probably. And then I kind of saw that there are a lot of people involved here. So when I saw his photos from conventions, I saw that there are big stands of drawings that being colored, and I saw myself. I saw some of mine, sorry. And I saw some other guys and thought, damn, this is a big community there. So not so small as I thought.
Yeah.
Not this everything around me.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. I hope that you do feel part of the team, because part of Brad and Rachel's mission is to make people, change people's lives through Colorworld books. Help people feel good about themselves, feel positive about themselves, and that you're adding to that mission of helping people. Do you feel like that's a mission that's being accomplished from your work?
I hope so. It's usually strange to talk about art and the money at the same time, because some will say, well, why should art be alongside with the money at the same time? Because this is strange. But besides this, I think I kind of help. If people like this, then it helps. If they don't like it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. Is there anything else that when somebody finds you online, that you'd be like, your fan base, your followers, they're like, oh, he is so cool. Is there anything that you would want them to know about you?
I'm a very simple guy, and I really like fishing.
Great. That's awesome. Do you get to go fishing often?
We will try, but you can't often go because there's not a lot of time for this. Yeah. When I was on vacation, I was at fishing, and that was awesome.
Cool.
And I catch some, and that was great. Perfect.
Perfect. Well, it has been really great to meet you.